The business model that made South Bend such a great place up until the 1960s, early 70s, meant having a small number of very large corporations like Studebaker that were highly vertical, closed environments. But today in the 21st century, the business imperative has changed, and the landscape now requires a sustainable business ecosystem, which is built on an enabling cloud technology, which allows for economic sustainability in a much more entrepreneurial startup culture while promoting both innovation and economic growth. Cloud computing is a disruptive technology and the foundation of sustainable business ecosystems. When a technology is said to be disruptive, it becomes greater than its component parts. It becomes a business model where startups face a much lower cost to get a seat at the table. And moving out of that bigger is better corporate model is essential to our future in South Bend. Is it better to have a handful of large employers or lots of smaller ones? Look at South Bend's past and you can see the answer. The fact that data is shared across great distances has changed the foundation of business. It's created two shifts: the elimination of physical barriers through creation of virtual enterprises, and more opportunities for small startups to take advantage of outsourcing opportunities created by those larger companies. And what's especially relevant today about those cloud-enabled business ecosystems is that it allows smaller businesses to have a bigger footprint. The virtualization of business means that a company, even a small one, can expand its sphere of influence beyond its brick and mortar boundaries, far beyond its immediate geographic area. And we call this a business ecosystem because it's made up of a dynamic and constantly changing group of interrelated businesses, all tied together with an enabling cloud-based platform. This ecosystem becomes a distinct entity on its own. Because of this model, it's a lot cheaper and easier to launch a virtual company than it ever has been before. It's already giving rise to a new economic era of economically sustainable growth that will be even greater than that dot-com boom of the 90s. At the beginning of that dot-com boom in the 1990s, not that many people really knew what was going on. They just saw a good thing and they wanted in. And today we're in a similar position. We're seeing the emergence of a new boom, only this one will be longer lasting, and it's starting in places like South Bend right here. And it's a result of several things coming together in a perfect storm. Cloud means connectivity, lower cost of entry, new ways of financing like crowdfunding, and a new focus on lean business models that's not going away. A shift to a business ecosystem requires some changes in thinking. It's easy to like the idea of a big company coming into town and hiring thousands of people, but today's sustainable business ecosystem requires a shift where those larger companies are operating in a lean mode and rely more heavily on outsourcing, and that's already happening. During that recession, business models changed. They got a lot leaner, and because that lasted for so long, businesses got used to it. They were driven by a desire not just to cut costs, but to increase capacity and productivity. And already management consultants are talking about a totally disaggregated corporation, where all the functions that are not crucial are stripped away. And here's where small Main Street businesses have an opportunity. When those big companies start to embrace that cloud-driven ecosystem, they're able to better focus on their main line of business. But the main story here is that it shifts many of those tasks away from those centralized enterprises and into the hands of homegrown startups. And here's where the sustainability story comes in. Those smaller businesses are consuming fewer resources. They spark entrepreneurship and innovation, and they allow for the existence of what has come to be known as the virtual company, which may not even have a physical office. But rather than seeing it as something that's taking away, it's something that contributes in an unexpected way by allowing the creation of many smaller entrepreneurial startups. Ultimately, the sustainability story in entrepreneurial innovation is going to be providing jobs to a community a lot more efficiently and with more staying power than would attempting to bring in those large manufacturers. That's what I envision for South Bend, an entrepreneurial tech hub enabled by cloud and other technologies. And this type of environment grows only one way. Back in the 90s, Silicon Valley didn't become Silicon Valley because the mayor bulldozed all the orange groves and invited a few massive corporations to come spend billions of dollars to build factories and research parks. It happened organically because small groups of 2 and 3 people got together in a garage and built something wonderful. That's how tech hubs grow, and that's what we need to encourage, and that's what I see for South Bend. Thank you.